computer. There we go. All right. Well, so this is December 10th of 2017, and I have a training I want to share tonight. And just as a heads up, we actually have a guest speaker for our team huddle next week that I'm super pumped about. It's an MVP. I'm not going to tell you who she is, but she's amazing, and you guys have never heard from her before, and I'm really excited that she has agreed to do our call next week. So, but tonight, this was just really something that I had been just really feeling impressed to share. And so a couple things actually came together really well, I think, for the training. And so tonight, the topic is when you want to quit. That's a normal feeling. That's a feeling that you, if you have not yet experienced in your business, you will at some point. You might not feel like you want to quit until you're an ENVP within the company. You might feel like you want to quit 5 days after you started your business. You're going to have people into this in your business, in your team that you sponsor, and they're going to want to quit. And so when we encounter that, there are just some things that I wanted to share. This isn't going to be long, but it is important. It's important to know that that's a normal feeling, whether it's in this business, whether it's in your life, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in your 30 days, you're going to feel like you want to quit at times. And you're going to, it's very easy to start to believe the little voices, the little lies, maybe even the little truths that are going to say, this is really hard. I don't know if this is worth it. Gosh, you're just doing everything you can and it's not working. And again, it doesn't matter what part of life this pertains to. We always have a temptation to quit, because when we quit, we take ourselves out of the game. And when we take ourselves out of the game, we're not fulfilling the calling, we're not fulfilling the purposes that are really intended, that are what I believe are planned out for us to fulfill and accomplish. And so there are a couple of things that I wanted to share as we think about when we want to quit. Know that it is normal, but know that you always have a choice. And so the first thing, that when you feel like you want to quit, you need to choose to remember why you started. Choose to remember why you started, because for most people, I think for everyone, when they choose to quit, they still have not yet accomplished or achieved or attained what they first wanted when they said yes. And there's a kind of a switch that gets flipped in this business when we start and we have the why. We have a why, a reason why we want to do this, whether it's time, whether it's association, whether it is contribution, whether it is financial. There's all kinds of reasons why people want to do this business. But what happens is, as you move forward in this business, those feelings start to dwindle, they start to fizzle, and those feelings actually will go away. And that's where you switch from, I'm doing this business because of the feelings associated with why I started in the first place, moving it to, I'm continuing in this business because of the decision associated with why I started this in the first place. Because the feeling will go away. The decision is what kicks in, and the decision is what moves us forward. The decision is what pushes us to continue on when we do feel like quitting. That's why, most people don't quit parenting. They don't continue parenting because of all the feelings. Like, parenting's exhausting. It is not fun. It is fun, but it's not always fun. I mean, it is fun when your kid smears lipstick all over their face like my child did tonight. It is fun at times, but it's very tiring. It's very sacrificial. You don't see the end in mind. And, unfortunately, a lot of people raise their kids into their teenage and early adult years, and they still don't really feel like, man, that was worth it, because their kids still give them heck. Their kids still are problems, all those things. But everybody continues in that because it's a decision that they make. And so we have that same level of, I always want people to kind of have that same level of commitment, not only to their business, but all these other areas of our life, because there's great purpose in it. The second thing is, I want you to choose when you feel like you want to quit, to let your future self's hindsight be your foresight. We all, I think, have had experiences in our life where we look back and we're like, man, if I only would have known it was going to pan out like this, or man, I wish I would have stuck with it, or man, I wish I would have made that decision instead of this decision. We have that hindsight. And so what I want you to think about is you in 5 years. You in 5 years, you've achieved what you want to achieve in this business. You've got a life of choices. You've got a life of, more freedoms. What would you say to you today, where you are today? Think about think about who you'll be in 10 years, in 20 years. What do you want to say to you today? And because what I'm going to tell you, you're going to want to say to yourself is keep going. It's worth it. Keep doing that next right thing. Keep rounding that corner. If you only knew what was coming, if you only knew how much time you were going to have with your kiddos, if you only knew how much fun things you were going to get to do with your spouse, if you only knew all of the ways that you were going to be able to financially bless people. There's a verse that I really love, and it's Ephesians 3:20, and it just talks about how God is able to do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine. And I think about, man, I can ask and imagine for a lot of things. So if he's able to do more than I can ask or imagine, what will that look like? What does that end up producing in my life relationally, with friends, with influence, in a career, with this business, all of those ways. And I think too many times when we feel like we want to quit, because that is normal, that we just kind of justify it, we excuse it, we reason it away, and we just really take ourselves out too early. And I feel like December can be a time actually where people will, because it's a busy month, because it feels like nobody's interested in your business, because you feel maybe alone, you feel like, what am I doing? I'm already working full time. I'm already so busy, and I've got all these demands on me with the holidays, and now I've got this business I'm trying to do. What? No, it's too much. I'm just going to either quit for a while until life gets easier or slows down, or I'm going to hang it up, indefinitely. And I think that there's absolutely that lure and that temptation in this season to do that. And so I just want us to be on guard against that and really know that December is just one out of 12 months. It can feel like it lasts longer, but it doesn't. And in January, when it's a new year and you want to have different, and you have goals that you're looking at, you have these things that you want to really accomplish in your life and your finances and your family, this is the vehicle. This is absolutely the vehicle that can bring those to you. So, just think about, what would you tell yourself, the you in 10 years, what would you tell yourself now, today? And just think about that, because I think it can be really powerful. The third thing that I want to tell you to think about, and know that anytime you are listening to a training, one of the reasons that I love SoundCloud so much is not only do they pour into me and I am so helped by them, like that. I don't know if you guys listened to that Donner Weiser training that I just posted, but I thought it was just awesome. And it wasn't anything necessarily new or profound, but it was just good. And it not only helps me, but then I have something to pour out. I can't pour out what I haven't first poured in. I can't offer advice, wisdom, input if I haven't poured it in. So when you're listening to trainings like this and you're like, well, Missy, I don't feel like I want to quit. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm loving this business. Then know that this training is for you to be equipped so that you can pour it out to maybe somebody who needs a word of encouragement. And you can help them to remember why they started. Choose to remember why you started. Choose to let your future self's hindsight be your foresight. And then choose to endure. This, for me, is something that has really been just very at the forefront. of a challenge. It's just been challenging me to endure. And this is very countercultural. We do not live in a world that wants to endure anything. We don't want to endure waiting for a restaurant. We don't want to endure waiting to, do anything. Like, we have apps, we have strategies. I mean, I was at Target the other day, and the girl in the Starbucks section of my Target was being overwhelmed with too many people, too many orders, and she was working all alone. And one of the customers literally had been standing there maybe 2 minutes, and she was demanding a manager. She had an awful attitude. She's like, well, who can I speak with? I need her phone number. And the gal who is trying to make the drinks is like, I am not at liberty. I don't have the ability to like give you her phone number. And the gal was like, well, you don't have your manager's phone number? And she's like, well, I have it, but I can't give you her phone number. And, and the gal wanted to know if this Starbucks was franchised within Target or if they were Target employees. And she was just like badgering this poor girl. And I thought, it's all because you don't want to endure waiting 3 minutes for a cup of coffee. Like, it just was, and she just literally was like angry about the situation and how, it was just ruining her whole experience and her whole day. And I mean, she really was embarrassing herself on every level. But it was just this, we live in this culture that does not want to endure. We don't want to push our kids to endure things. I coach girls basketball, 5th grade girls basketball, and I have encountered, unfortunately, I've done it now for 4 years. I have encountered every year parents who don't want their girls to have to endure sitting out of the game. They don't want their girls to have to endure a practice at a time that's not convenient for them. They don't want to have to endure telling their kids you can't be in band and Girl Scouts and basketball practice all at the same time. We just want to do everything we want when we want it in the way we want it. And we don't want to have to endure. And, this is just a word we don't want part of our vocabulary. We don't really want, you guys don't really want to hear me tell you right now, like, you need to endure. You're like, tell us something else, Missy. Tell us a better word, like a more fun word, but this is really a loving thing to tell not only, you all, but to tell myself. And I've really been challenged with this. And I, just so you guys know, have just been going through personally just a lot of challenges. This has been a massive refining year for me. And I'm just continually being presented with the choice to endure, to continue to endure the process, to continue to endure going and doing the next right thing in my business, to continue to endure learning how to do new things in new ways that are hard for me and that are not comfortable for me because they're for my good or my family's good. And so, I just have really been chewing on this word endure. And the definition for endure is to remain in existence, to last, to live on, to go on, to survive, to persist, to persevere, to remain, to stay. Persisting, continuing, unending, everlasting, constant, stable, steadfast, fixed, firm, unwavering, unfaltering, unchanging. Those are some good words. And those are words that we want said about us. We want those things said about our character. We want those things said about who we are as people. And those are the words, you guys, that people need to see lived out in you so that they can say yes to this business. If I wasn't committed to this business, I don't believe any or most of you would be following me. If at any point you thought, Missy might jump ship because I'm not sure she's real committed, you wouldn't be following. You wouldn't be modeling after me. You wouldn't be trusting the system if you thought, I don't really know if Missy's going to be here in March. I don't know. Does Missy go to GTC? I don't know. If I wasn't saying, going to Bash and Nash, I'm going to GTC, I'm going to Jamaica, come with me if you want. If you don't, it's totally fine. But I'm going to be there. Party of one, well, party of two, me and Sunny, So it's just that unwavering, that unrelenting. And, that's just so important. And there was a story that I heard recently that I wanted to share with you guys as we close out. And it just has not only sat with me, but it has really, really made me think about, man, what what am I, willing, not only willing to endure, but what do I believe is possible? Because these things go together. So when you feel like you want to quit, many times we don't believe that what we want is possible. Because if we believed what we wanted was actually really possible, we wouldn't think about quitting. But when we think about quitting, when we feel about quitting, what has happened is doubt has creeped in and unbelief has been birthed, and we don't really believe that what we want to have or accomplish or achieve is actually going to happen. So the temptation is to give up, to not endure, and to quit. But I want to tell you guys that it is so possible, and I think many times we take for granted all of the VPs that we get exposed to, all of the NVPs, all of the ENVPs, what they've experienced, what they've accomplished, what they've endured, what they've gone through. Because if somebody has shown that it's been done, then they've shown that it's been done. And I think one of the things that I so love about the culture of Arbonne is that you couldn't find more different people who have achieved the top level of this company. Like, you have everybody. You have, I can't even go on and on with all the examples, but it's just this wide variety of people, particularly women, but good news, we're all women, so we can relate to them on that level. But it's like, whether they've been single, whether they've been married, whether they've been a single parent, whether, there's NVPs who have come out of like horrible abuse situations, to NVPs who were corporate level executives, to NVPs who have an 8th grade education, to MVPs who, were in skincare and wellness and all of that before, to NVPs who knew nothing about that, and it just continues to build that belief of this is an opportunity for anyone who decides to endure and to not quit and to not give up. So I want to share a picture with you guys. I hope you all can, I'm going to try to make this as big as I can, but I don't know if it's going to make it very big here. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. All right, can you all see that picture? Let me pull this down. All right, can you all see that guy? Yes. Okay, so this guy's name is Cliff Young, and I'm going to tell you guys about Cliff Young, and I'm going to read you a little story about Cliff Young, because when I heard about Cliff Young, I was blown away about who Cliff Young was and what he did and what it taught me. Has taught me just about enduring. So the legendary story of Cliff Young is already known to many runners. If you aren't familiar with it, you'll be fascinated by what you hear. Every year, Australia hosts a 543-mile endurance race. Imagine that. People are signing up to run 543 miles. That's so far. That's crazy. The race is from Sydney to Melbourne, Australia. It's considered among the world's most grueling ultra marathons. The race takes 5 days to complete and is normally only attempted by world-class athletes who train specifically for the event. These athletes are typically less than 30 years old and backed by large companies such as Nike. In 1983, a man named Cliff Young showed up at the start of the race. Cliff was 61 years old and wore overalls and work boots, as you see in this picture. To everyone's shock, Cliff wasn't a spectator. He picked up a race number and joined the other racers. The press and the athletes became curious and questioned Cliff. They told him, "You're crazy. There's no way you can finish this race." To which he replied, "Yes, I can. See, I grew up on a farm where we couldn't afford horses or tractors, and the whole time I was growing up, whenever the storms would roll in, I'd have to go out and round up our sheep. We had 2,000 sheep on 2,000 acres. Sometimes I would have to run these sheep for 2 or 3 days. It took a long time, but I'd always catch them. I believe I can run this race." When the race started, the pros quickly left Cliff behind. Like when they started, he ended up being over 20 miles behind the rest of the group. The crowds and television audience were entertained because Cliff didn't even run properly. He appeared to shuffle. Many even feared for the old farmer's safety. All of the professional athletes knew it took about 5 days to finish the race. In order to compete, one had to run about 18 hours a day and sleep the remaining 6 hours. The thing is, Cliff didn't know this. When the morning of the second day came around, Everyone was surprised for another reason. Not only was Cliff still in the race, he had continued jogging all night. Eventually, Cliff was asked about his tactics for the rest of the race. To everyone's disbelief, he claimed he would run straight through to finish the race without sleeping. Cliff kept running. Each night, he came a little closer to the leading pack. By the final night, he had surpassed all of the young world-class athletes. He was the first competitor to cross the finish line, and he set a new course record by 9 hours. When Cliff was awarded the winning prize of $10,000, he said he didn't know there was a prize and insisted that he did not enter for the money. He ended up giving all of his winnings to several other runners, an act that endeared him to all of Australia. So, why do I share that? I share that because I know what that story did for me. What that story did for me was not only really illustrate so amazingly several things, but it really drove home this understanding that if we're willing to endure, if we're willing to do things that other people are not willing to do, if we're willing, he didn't know to stop and sleep. He just kept going. Many times I think we kind of fall into bad habits in our business because it's like, well, so-and-so promoted, then and it kind of took them a long time to get from area to region, or then it took them a long time to get from region to nation. And everybody's story and everybody's journey is going to be the same, but that doesn't have to be your story. You could go right from consultant to district to area to region to nation. Who says there has to be these big gaps of time in between? I think sometimes we take that on because we think, well, that's what so-and-so's story was, and I guess that's what has to happen, and he also went against what was expected. What do you expect? He only won that race because he believed that he could. He knew that he could do the right things to get there. He didn't need other people's approval. He didn't need other people saying, yes, he had the opposite of that. He had naysayers. He had people making fun of him. He didn't have the right equipment. He didn't have the right strategy. He didn't have the right system in place. So it's just that reminder of what is possible in the human spirit, what is possible when we're willing to push ourselves, what is possible when we're willing to endure and not give up. So I just wanted to share that tonight because I think in this season sometimes when we feel a lull in the business, because you might not. There are lots of people, you guys, that do want to say yes to this business. There are lots of people that need the hope that this business offers. There are a lot of people going to bed tonight with not clue one how they're going to pay for Christmas in 2 weeks or pay off the Christmas that they're going to decide to buy in the next 2 weeks. And they need some choices. There are a lot of people that are really just bummed that they're ending 2017, where they're at. And if you're not where you're at, yeah, it's a bummer. But if you have a hope of what's to come, that's an awesome thing. Think about if you don't have a hope of what's to come and there's no possibility of change. I'm not necessarily ending 2017 where I want to be in my business, but I have incredible hope. I have incredible potential. Sky's the limit. There's no limit on what I am investing my time into. But if I was in a regular career or job and nothing was going to change, and I didn't really like where I was at, and I didn't really like my lifestyle, and I didn't really like my choices, it's kind of a bummer, when you don't have any more choices. What this business offers us, and then what we get to offer people, are these choices. And the enduring, you guys, you don't have to sprint to your goal. You don't. You just have to be willing to endure and to continue moving forward. And then, when either from a decision or a need or a point of inspiration, you decide to really hammer down and kick your business into full gear and get yourself to that another level, the business is here. The support system is in place. The business system, is set up for you. So it's all just super, super exciting and encouraging. And I just wanted to share that tonight because I thought it was important in this season. I think it's important as you guys are chatting with your teammates and people that you bring onto this business. It's normal. You got to remember why you started. You got to let your future hindsight be your current foresight. And then you got to be willing to choose to endure, through the good and the hard and all those things that come with it. So thank you all for hopping on tonight. I love y'all to pieces. I hope that was encouraging and helpful. And I'm going to post a little link about Cliff Young. There's a kind of a YouTube video about him that I'll post under this. So thank you all for hopping on tonight. You all have a good night. Love y'all.